We're speaking to Sherson Lian this morning. He is, of course, a celebrity chef. Thank you so much, Sherson, for speaking to us on the Light Breakfast.
Sherson.
Why your name so hard to pronounce?
I don't know.
Why you put so many S and R's together? You know, you're Chinese.
Should have more Lian, Tan or some shit.
All right, so it seems that your passion with food then and the food industry started at a very, very young age. Now, tell us about your earliest memory of cooking in the kitchen, maybe with your family, with your mom.
Us siblings, our early memory of being in the kitchen wasn't so sweet because, my mom started this cafe. And it was a really, really small scale. So she had to do a lot of prep work at home. And we were the minions, they were doing the work, you know what I mean? So it wasn't all that funny. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of work were you guys doing?
Peeling garlic,
nice.
and peeling garlic. I watched, last time got this channel, Smart Channel, they have those garlic peelers that, you put the garlic in, you press the button and poof, it comes out perfect. I tell you, all lies.
I actually recently tried out this TikTok garlic hack where you cut the garlic in half horizontally and try and smack the bulbs out and it will come out nice and clean. It was all lies also.
No. It's all lies. I use a lot of different devices because, no 8-9-year-old want to spend hours peeling garlic, right? So, yeah.
Okay, so that was your earliest memory in the kitchen, just peeling garlic day and night.
Yeah, well, every time we're not in school.
How about cooking? What was the first dish that you cooked?
The cooking part, I think I was 13, I think, and then school had this hari canteen, so I decided, okay my mom got food business now, so it should be down my alley I should try something, right? So I think back then coney dog was a big thing, so I saw coney dogs in school during hari canteen, and it was a huge hit. I tell you, I was like, I'm set for life already. and then I because I knew how to cook, but there was no business sense So I went back home. I said, Mom, Dad, look, this is the amount of money I made for this, hari canteen. So okay, now you got to give us back the cost of what you've sold, right? So your hot dogs, your bread, your this. I'm like, oh, right.
So did you make any money or not?
No, I lost. So that was my first experience cooking and selling and stuff.
Okay. So did that sort of spurred you on to want to have your own food business eventually?
Well, that wasn't exactly it. I think it was more finishing from 5. So all the way through, right? Every year during school holiday in December, I would go out to the shop and help. And funny enough, I enjoy that more than school itself. So needless to say, I wasn't a straight A student, all nyawa ikan man. Yeah. But so after leaving from 5, all my friends went on to study, I was like, wow, we just spent so many years studying and listening to the teacher and doing homework. At least take a break first, go back into it again. And I wasn't very good at it anyway. So it's like, no lah. So my dad and parents, they're both very supportive of the idea. So they allowed me to just continue working. And I think it was then I realized, this is something that I could do, when school was about the only thing you did, and that being not so great at it, you kind of want to find something else to sort of prove yourself not hopeless lah. So I felt that I had a knack for this and just never stopped.
Mm-hmm. But did you have any other aspiration or ambitions growing up?
I wanted to be an air steward.
Oh, really? I never knew that.
Yeah, I was like, get to travel, get to see the world, get to fly in an aeroplane. don't know lah. It was something that I always enjoyed. Like, wow,
Felt glamorous, right? Yeah.
Airplane, wow, So it was that, and then that also food related, right? So I was like, yeah, I don't mind doing this. But then, there were a lot of stories about how, you go into it and then you spend so much time into it, and then, but it's got only a certain amount of shelf life. And then most of them, when they come out, they're suddenly so lost to the world because they've committed so much of their time in it, and they literally live in that sort of a bubble,
Yeah.
just going from place to place, and the outside world just is not relevant, doesn't exist, like,
Yeah.
Then that made me think a bit, like.
Okay. How about studies? Were you ever going to go back to get higher education, get a degree in something?
I did. Vijaya offered me a course, like a 6 months course, to get like some. They call it like a master chef course, something like that.
Is it like a culinary degree?
Yeah, it's not equivalent to a degree because it's only 6 months, but it's some sort of a certification. And so, and I went into it because it was, and it's a course for chefs, not course for when you want to get into it, you already have to be a chef. So it was good. I really enjoyed it, because all this while I've been doing things from the way I learned it, not necessarily the way it should have been. So to have what I have and then to go and learn what the
proper
way by the book, the proper way, I enjoyed it. I mean, certain things were like, oh, so that's how you do it.
Okay.
But
for a chef, right? What do you think matters most? The technical know-how or just a good taste bud?
I think it's very, because being a chef, there's so many layers though, you have your, super chefs like, your Michelin star ones, and then you have, at the same time, your favorite, waratoye, warang tom yum. So, I think to be both, you need the basic of at least a damn good taste bud. For me, my philosophy is simple. Fussy eaters make good cooks, right? Because you have to, before you serve it to someone, you're passing it through your own mouth, and if you're okay with it, then right. But yeah, the technical know-how, it really depends. If you are going down the line of wanting to be the best chef in Malaysia, then you will need the technical know-how. But if you're just talking about making money, being a good restaurateur, being a good cook, you need a good palate.
Yeah.
But was hoteling something that you were even considering?
Well, it was definitely something for me to open my eyes to see what F&B has to offer. Because where we come from, we were selling 10 ringgit chicken chops, bro. 15 ringgit beef steaks. So, that was my exposure. So going into the hotel sort of opened my eyes into, okay, so these are the kind of kitchen equipment that professionals use, not the, fire, want to put manches sometimes, I mean, we're using old school stuff.
Okay.
And also, to see how they operate, to see food in a whole new light, was an eye-opener for me.
Okay. Yeah. But why did you choose to go for like a hotel apprenticeship course instead of a culinary course?
School kind of
thing?
Yeah. So when I finished Form 5, the one part that I missed was my dad wanted to send me, my mom, and my younger brother to New Zealand. So I wanted to study culinary in New Zealand. We were already in New Zealand. We went to inquire. It came out that they charge foreigners a steep
international fees. Yeah.
Yeah. So which was like, wow, okay, no, not happening.
Okay.
So never mind. No. So long story short, we came back, and then my dad found this free course lah. Son, good news. I found this one. Wow, it's very good. Taylor, and then Taylor's College, was a good name even back then. So I said, okay, let's go, let's do it.
Mhm.
So that's how it went.
So when you went into this hotel course, you learned everything about the hotel business, or is it just in the kitchen, or just the F&B side?
Yeah, just the F&B side, because it's 3 months. You spend only 3 months in the college. So if you select the front office, then they'll teach you front office theory. If you select kitchen, then it's kitchen. So it's dissected into where you want to sort of
Okay.
be. Yeah.
So this has always been your path from the beginning, being in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yes. Never saw myself doing any other thing.
Yeah. But
and then until you realize you cannot see yourself doing any other thing anymore. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's just all of a sudden you wake up one day and like, hey, what if I do something else? Like, hey, cannot lah. What am I going to do? What
Does
do I
that
do?
never come into your mind?
Yeah.
I want to be an actor. I want to be maybe I want to get into law.
That is very far-fetched. No way. No lah.
So there's nothing else. So right now you're very focused in the food business.
Yeah.
There's nothing else that you've ever considered doing.
No. Being a property agent, maybe. I don't know, man. Some of my property agent friends, bro, you know how much money they make? Dude.
Not at this time, I think. Yeah.
Not at this time, but prior.
But I mean, you're also a TV chef now, TV host. Like in the beginning of your TV hosting career, was it difficult to like cook and talk at the same time?
I think the cooking and talking wasn't so difficult. But what was difficult was the cooking and talking in Malay. So that was a challenge because though I grew up in Kajang, I grew up in a Malay school. My Malay was fantastic back then. But then when my family moved from KL to Malacca, all of a sudden there was the gap of 4 years that I didn't really speak much Malay because somehow just no Malay friends, right? Then when I came back, the next thing I had to do was a Malay show. Then I was like, wow, why is it suddenly speaking Malay is so difficult? You sort of get rusty a bit. But yeah, that was the only struggle. Everything else, I was surprisingly, even with the camera, it was fine. Intan Suraya, which was our producer director, then she took a bit of time to sort of mold the person that she wanted me to be for Limerancha Limerasa, the tone of voice, the cheeky, the sort of fun, happy-go-lucky person in Limerancha Limerasa. Yeah, so yeah.
But there was another show that you did also, which was that, I don't know whether that was your first foray into TV, where you guys, a bunch of you were traveling all over, I think it was France
that was everything. Great Dinners of the World with AFC.
Yeah. How did you get it? Was that the first one or was...
No, Limerancha was first.
Right.
And it's still ongoing, Limerancha.
I know, right? 10 years, wait.
10 years,
10
wow.
years.
I watched one episode just recently and I'm like, okay, because I know you, right? I'm like, this was a few years ago. He doesn't look that... He's put on slightly, right?
So that's why I tell people, from young to now a bit more mature, from skinny to fat. We've grown now. They have seen me grown.
Yeah. But with the language-wise, you just needed the extra practice. You just kept saying it, and you just kept speaking in Malay, and then you got it back.
Yeah. Well, one thing that really helped was the whole crew is Malay, right? So anytime I would need some help, they were all like throwing words here and there, so I'll catch it. But yeah.
How about the recipes? I mean, 10 years on, how many new recipes do you have to provide them every season?
The thing about recipes, Limerancha Limerasa started off with a recipe consultant.
Okay.
So I wasn't actually first choice for Limerancha Limerasa. Guess who was? Your fellow colleague Sham.
Oh,
Sham?
really? What?
Yeah.
Sham doesn't cook.
Correct. So that's why.
I
That's why they had a recipe consultant on board. Yeah, you should go ask him.
I will.
Wow,
Oh my
okay.
god.
And so I was told that because at that point in time he was with Mix FM, so Astro. Then you know how
Yeah.
Media Prima, Astro, and all that. So then they had to drop him, and then the recipe consultant was the one who actually spotted me when she came over to my family's place in Malacca for a church camp. They say, "Hey, Sherson, you can cook, or you quite good looking, fine. I pass your number to the producer. You want to do a TV show?" I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Blah, blah. So, and then that was it. One day, the producer, Intan Surya, called me up and said that, "Hey, Sherson, you want to come in for a cast?" Oh, yeah, sure. 10 years later, we're here. Unbelievable, right?
Yeah, but is the recipe consultant still?
Okay, the recipe consultant. Sorry, back to that question. So the recipe consultant Lillian, she was with us for I think the first 2.5, 3 years, and then they changed another recipe consultant, which was a different chef that allowed us to use his house to shoot Limerancha Limerasa. So that happened. I think that also was another couple of years, and then after that, I was on my own already. Yeah.
So was it easier
So
having
you
a recipe consultant or a cooking consultant on the show? Because there's so many recipes.
Yes and no. Yes and no. Because it's someone else's dish you're cooking, right? And then but I'm stubborn with recipes. Like I go into once the camera says roll, I know what I'm going to do. I this, I that, and I go into sort of my own flow of doing things, and it might not necessarily be
Their flow.
Yeah.
their flow is. But here's the thing: it's their recipe, and it's stated their name and it's the recipe consultant. So if they perceive what I'm doing as wrong, then they would feel like it's their name at stake, right? So hence there's constant this.
Right.
I'm doing my thing, and then they say, "Hey, Sherson, you're not supposed to do that." Then here I feel frustrated because you're jamming my flow. I'm on a roll. I'm there. I'm good. I'm da. Then I go to okay, then start all over again, and So, but the easy part was I didn't have to think about it before the shoot. The tough part was during shoot.
Yeah, but now you do, right? So do you test them out, all the recipes out at home first?
No, I don't get to test everything out because every time we want to shoot one whole season, it's 13 episodes times 5 recipes per ep. So you're talking about what? 12, 60.
A lot.
A lot. 60 recipes. Yeah. 60 to 70 recipes at one go. Wow.
So it's tough to test out everything.
So where do these recipe ideas come from, though? What?
It's everywhere, I guess. Sometimes I go out, I eat something at a Chinese restaurant, and then I feel like, hey, I think this can be showcased in Limerancha Limerasa, because you have to understand that audience for Limerancha Limerasa is predominantly the Malays, right, on TV3. So hence, their demand for recipes are also within that bracket. We've tried doing some recipes that are non-Malays, but the analytics always shows us that those
work.
Episodes don't really do very well. So I've cooked sambal like 1,000 times lah. Like sambal sotong, sambal ikan, sambal ayam, sambal kuda je belum bang. But this sambal, that sambal, also a different sambals. Sometimes I have to Google. I look at pictures. I'm a very visual person. So I look at pictures. I'm like, okay, I understand this. I want to do something like this. Then I would put my own twist on it. I would put my interpretation of how I think it could be better and whatnot.
Have you ever used any of the recipes on Limerancha in your restaurant? Because I've never had any of those. I've been to your place before, and I'm like, tak ada pun.
Well, you were looking for sambal kuda, is it?
For my restaurant, you see, the thing is, I don't cook with a recipe per se. The only reason why the recipe exists is because the network requires it. It's part of the format, right? They upload the recipes on the show. But even like in our restaurant before, in Hello or in Makan, especially Hello back then, a lot of it were not recipe based. A lot of it was, instinct, cooking, and yes, the influence is there. Like, I think we had ikan bakar in Hello at one point in time. So yeah, of course, the influence came from the limericcia, limerasa side of things. But then there is no one selected recipe per se that I use for my ikan bakar all the single time. Yeah.
Well, after so many years in the food business, you've hosted your cooking shows, regional ones, owning your own restaurants. What do you hope to achieve next in your career?
Sustenance. I think, I've had first restaurant 3 years close. Then now Makan is the second restaurant. This has been 3 years already, and we're still going, and now we have to deal with a different kind of
Challenge.
beast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely sustenance. If you ask me, I'd like to be able to have, grow the restaurant business and have a group of restaurants. That would be ideal. But also, like, what we're doing now is we have just launched our new jars food called Rencha. So we have sambal belacan and fish curry paste, chicken rice chili, and our signature product is actually the sambal cincalo believing bulo, right? And it just went on. We just went live last week. So this is our first step into food production or sort of small scale manufacturing.
Okay. So these are like ready-made paste that people can use at home. Yeah.
Correct. Ready-made paste that people can use at home. And I would hope that this grows bigger. Because I think 10 years people have watched me on TV. And then you get people like JD saying, tak ada pun apa. Even have to go into restaurant, but tak ada pun, So this is something where people can finally sort of have a taste of what we've been doing for the past 10 years.
That's great.
But let's just say because vaccines are coming out, and let's just say the vaccine clears everything and there's no more COVID, right? What would that plan be? Are you going to open up restaurants in other countries?
We have, prior to COVID, we had spoken to a few different people that they were restaurant operators that specializes in operating within train stations and airports worldwide. So they were also going to be bringing in a couple of very famous brands from outside of Malaysia into KLIA, and I was one of the local partners that they were looking to work with. So yeah, that has now been put on hold.
Yeah.
So we came up with a concept of what we wanted to do and all that, and they got shelved. Outside of Malaysia, yes, definitely. If I can afford to have a restaurant in Australia, I think we'll do very, very well. Because I think we in how we have done our business from Hello days it's a good mix of both very bold Asian flavors, but also something that's very relevant to the West as well, to the Western culture. So I believe we can do very well in places like Australia. Neighboring countries, Philippines, I also consider Philippines as one place because I love the people there, and I love the culture there as well. And people, there are a lot of people. There's generally a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And everybody loves food there as well. So one place I've considered. But then again, these are all just wish lists.
Well, also, you're actually doing a virtual cooking masterclass next
Yeah.
week on the 28th of November.
Mm.
Actually, do you need different skill sets to be able to teach someone else to cook? I mean, it's one thing to cook for yourself, cook for your restaurant, cooking on TV, but do you need to be a little bit more,
Teacher.
I don't know, a little bit more of a teacher to teach other people how to cook?
I think so.
Yeah.
And if your question is going to be, do I think I have it? We shall see. Join the master classes.
Is this the first time you're teaching?
No, it's not. I've done cooking classes before. I've done cooking classes for kids as well before, and I actually absolutely love the kids one because it's just a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And adults have done also as well, but I don't know. People haven't come up and said, "Oh, she said you're a very good teacher."
Well,
I haven't had that.
I guess what I mean was like, do you need to do it differently when you cook? Yeah.
Slower. Yeah, because when I cook, it's fast.
Mm.
So sometimes I have to remind myself slow.
Mm.
Because then there's this other side of my mind that thinks too slow, people get bored.
Yeah.
Because that's how TV works, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to be fast, choppy pace, good pace. But with teaching, it's got to be reversal. You take your time.
You need to go and check.
Yeah. So the thing is, with doing physical cooking class, you can go and check. You can see the progress, and then you can sort of judge how well you're teaching.
Yeah. How about a virtual one then?
That's right. With the virtual one, and then hopefully, I don't know how is it going to be, but hopefully I get to see everybody's face or video, right?
Mm.
Because if I don't get to see the video, then I'll be thinking, is he having a good time? Is he or she, bored? You can't gauge anything.
They burn their food.
They burn their food. Are they also going to be cooking along, or they're just
I don't know.
You don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
What's his name? The comms guy.
Hold on. He's actually.
Can we just double check? Because the next question I want to ask you is, can anyone join this cooking masterclass? And what are the dishes?
Let's just check with Nas first, okay?
Yeah.
Let me pause this for a bit.
So, Sherson, can anyone join this virtual cooking masterclass that you're holding next week?
I think it's open for the Astro Rewards customers. So I think they have to register in order to participate in this. There'll be a Facebook Live airing, but they won't be able to ask questions. So for those who want to join in and participate and get involved, then go register.
I'll do it because I'm going to be cooking along with you, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So won't you have to give the people a list of ingredients to prepare for if they're going to cook along with you first, right?
Yeah. So I've submitted it to Astro. Astro will, I guess, distribute it. We're actually cooking chicken roulade stuffed with spinach and feta.
Whoa,
served alongside with Brussels sprouts, potatoes, and carrots.
Ooh, Brussels sprouts. Not
You
my
don't
favorite.
like
You don't really? Okay.
Okay.
Why?
Because they're bitter.
Okay, so this recipe I'm doing with Brussels sprouts, right, is not something that a lot of people do, and I'll be teaching a new method of even with carrots as well. Is we're going to almost burn them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
JD, you're good at that, right?
I'm really good at burning stuff.
And there's a dessert as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a dessert as well. So it's poached pear stuffed with cream cheese and wrapped with filo pastry. So this is one of the desserts that used to be a favorite in Hello, our restaurant.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so go on to Astro. I think some of the details might be on the website, so just go there and check it out if you want to join.
It's on the Astro Instagram page, or so if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so if you want to join this virtual cooking masterclass with Sherson on the 28th of November, go check it out. Now, lastly, Sherson, what's your advice to someone thinking of becoming a chef without going to culinary school, like yourself?
I would say don't let it limit you in the mind. I would say, just because I didn't go to culinary school, I didn't feel any less of a cook, I think. Also because I had the right people together with me. Like, I'm very grateful for actually doing the show. JD, we were talking about the Four Chefs show.
Yeah.
That we traveled around. So that was a big booster for me as well, because I was the only non-chef cooking together with three other very established chefs, and they have guided me and taught me a lot, and opened my eyes to a different realm of food. And then since then on, I just did my homework. Everything is available online these days. Google, YouTube, they were my teachers for the most part of it. But of course, I think every chef, if you want to be a chef, whether you're going to culinary school or not, you must have a certain identity. You must have it. And I think you're able to carve out, your space in this crazy game of culinary.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to us. All the best.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Bel. Thanks, JD, for having me on.